StudyIQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई affordable.
Hello everyone. I hope this message finds you fit and fine. My name is Shashank Sir. Welcome you all to our contest series on Indian Polity based on Lakshmikant. In our previous class, we were discussing center-state relations, an important topic. And we know now that we can divide this into three heads, means legislative aspect of center-state relations, then financial, and then executive. We have gone through legislative aspect, and today we need to talk about administrative or executive aspect of center-state relations. Good number of questions can be made in your upcoming prelims, so give due attention. So these relations are mentioned in part 11 and part 12 of Indian Constitution. This is a factual information. Now, Article 256 to Article 263, they deal with administrative relations between center and state. If we talk about the basis of categorization, we can say majorly theme is same as we learn in legislative aspect of center-state relations. What does it mean? It simply means that in case of legislative power, there is Schedule 7, clear division between union, state and concurrent list. So based on these themes, we have delegated or given executive power to center and state, right? So it means theme is same as distribution of legislative aspect. Center has exclusive power on union list. I'm talking about legislative aspect, okay? Because on this basis we have executive. The state has exclusive power on state, and when it comes to cases like making law for implementing any international treaty agreement in that aspect, even if the matter is in state list, center can make this law. We discussed this in previous class, right? With respect to concurrent list, both center and state can make law. Now, please understand, in executive aspect, we are not going to use the word parliament and state legislature like we were using in previous class. Now, we need to use the word central government because our focus is executive. Legislative is there to make law and executive is there to implement law. And there are two kinds of executives, permanent and temporary. So those of you who are preparing for civil service exam, considering all of you are, so you are preparing for permanent executive, and there is temporary executive also, ministers who have to give exam after every 5 years or even before that if their government falls. Now the point is, when we say executive power, whose power we are talking about? We are talking about all executive branches which are there at center as well as state. Now, just take an example. Say Ayushman Bharat Yojana, a scheme conceptualized by central government. Now tell me, can central government implement this scheme without cooperation from state government? Because when it comes to health department at state level, they come under state government. Because we have central departments as well as state departments. For example, income tax department. So those officers who are working there, they are permanent executive, but they're part of central government. They are there to implement a central law. For example, income tax law, which is applicable all over India. They are there to implement that. For example, health is, say, health department is under state government. So now why I'm raising this question? I'm raising this question to let you know that in case of executive power, cooperation is necessary. You can say it is mandatory. Without cooperation between executive, whether center and state, with respect to implementation of these policies, no policy will actually see the light for which it is made, right? So it means cooperation is necessary. So when it comes to central government, it has power to execute policies on subjects which are mentioned in union list. And that is why we were saying that yes, there is similarity between distribution in legislative nature and executive nature, right? In case of state government, they have power with respect to state list. It means matters mentioned in state list, if there are some laws, then these laws need to be implemented. These policies need to be implemented by state government. I hope you're getting clearer, right? Executive power does not mean that state government is going to make law on state list, because we are using the word state government. Okay, when we talk about making law, we should use the word state legislature, which we used in previous class. Okay, so there's difference. Now the point is, what about concurrent list? Means state list is clear, union list is clear, clear division of power is there. But in concurrent list, in legislative aspect, we discussed that law can be made by both center and state. What about the executive power? Executive power lies with center or state? What do you think? What's your guess? So some of you might be thinking, sir, in concurrent list we discussed that priority is given to law made by union legislature, means parliament. That is what you discussed. That is what we discussed, right? कई बार मन में सवाल आता होगा कि इस प्रिपरेशन को शुरू तो कर दिया है, मजा भी आ रहा है, तभी आप इस वीडियो में हैं, सीखने को तो मिल रहा है, लेकिन क्या उतना पढ़ा जा रहा है जितना इस एग्जाम को क्लियर करने के लिए जरूरी है? क्योंकि अल्टीमेट ऑब्जेक्टिव तो क्या है? योर नेम इन मेरिट लिस्ट. तो देखिए, कंटेंट तो सेम है, लेकिन कंटेंट को यूज करने की हमें स्किल डेवलप करनी है. कैसे होगी वो स्किल डेवलप? पहले तो भाई टाइम से हर एक सब्जेक्ट का कंटेंट तैयार होना चाहिए. अगर आप वो कर रहे हैं ठीक है, लेकिन इफ यू वांट टू टेक हेल्प तो आप स्टडी आईक्यू की हेल्प ले सकते हैं. जो स्टडी आईक्यू का P2I प्रोग्राम है, आप स्टडी आईक्यू ऐप या वेबसाइट पर देख सकते हैं. P2I मतलब प्रीलिम्स से लेकर इंटरव्यू तक का एक प्रोग्राम. तो ये एक प्रोग्राम के अंदर 4 फेजेस हैं. तो उस 4 फेजेस के थ्रू पहले ही फेज में आपका कंप्लीट सिलेबस हो जाएगा. तो इट इज लाइक द बेसिक थिंग, ये तो करना ही है. इसके बाद आता है कि हमें स्किल्स डेवलप करनी है, यानी कि उस कंटेंट का प्रीलिम्स में इस्तेमाल हो सके, उस कंटेंट का मेंस में इस्तेमाल हो सके, यानी कि आंसर राइटिंग. फिर हमें असेसमेंट चाहिए बीच बीच में, जिससे कि हमें कमियां पता लगती रहें. तो इसके लिए भी P2I में आपको प्रीलिम्स मेंस दोनों की टेस्ट सीरीज दी जा रही है. वीकेंड पर भी टेस्ट होते हैं, प्लस डेली मेंस आंसर राइटिंग होती है. तो आपको नहीं लगता अगर इतना कोई मेहनत आपके साथ कर ले, तो आप करना तो चाहते हैं बट एक पाथवे नहीं है, तो P2I प्रोग्राम वो पाथवे आपके लिए साबित हो सकता है. तो टेक हेल्प ऑफ दिस. फिर आपके मन में कभी कभी जो डाउट आता है उसको ढूंढने के लिए आपका काफी समय जाया हो जाता है. जाया इसलिए कह रहा हूं क्योंकि हो सकता है उस डाउट को ढूंढने के लिए आपने 1 घंटा लगा दिया, क्योंकि उससे एसोसिएटेड काफी सारी चीजें नई नई पता लगती चली गई आपको. ऐसे में इस टाइम को रिड्यूस कर सकते हैं आप. एग्जाम ओरिएंटेड क्या उस डाउट से रिलेटेड नॉलेज आपको चाहिए, वो आपको एक पर्सनल मेंटोर बता सकता है. तो इस कोर्स में फैकल्टीज तो आपके साथ हैं ही. इस पूरी जर्नी में आपको पर्सनल मेंटोर दिया जा रहा है, आप उसकी हेल्प लीजिए. आप कॉल व्हाट्सएप पर कभी भी उनके साथ कनेक्ट हो सकते हैं. उनका नंबर आपको इस कोर्स में स्पेसिफिकली आपको अलॉट होगा. तो अल्टीमेटली आपका टाइम बचेगा, कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा प्रिपरेशन में. फिर जैसे आप प्रीलिम्स क्लियर कर लेते हैं तो उसके बाद मेंस रेजिडेंशियल प्रोग्राम, ये इसका सेकंड फेज मतलब थर्ड फेज कहिए, क्योंकि पहले फेज में फाउंडेशन है, फिर सक्सेस इन प्रीलिम्स है, फिर MRP मेंस रेजिडेंशियल प्रोग्राम. फिर उसके लिए आप दिल्ली बुला लिया जाता है आपको. यहाँ पर आप मतलब जो फूडिंग लॉजिंग एवरीथिंग इज टेकन केयर बाय स्टडी आईक्यू. और उसके बाद फिर रिगरस प्रिपरेशन होती है आपकी मेंस के हिसाब से, यानी कि हर एक जो आपका पेपर है, GS है, लैंग्वेज है, essay है, हर एक की तैयारी यहीं पर हम आपको अपने सामने कराते हैं. उसके बाद जैसे आप मेंस क्लियर करते हैं तो इंटरव्यू गाइडेंस प्रोग्राम, वहाँ पर आपके कोहोर्ट्स बनते हैं, जिसमें डिस्कशन के थ्रू जो आपके अदर एस्पिरेंट्स हैं, जो आपके साथ इंटरव्यू देने वाले हैं, तो आप अपनी स्किल्स को पॉलिश करते हैं. साथ में ब्यूरोक्रेट्स, फॉर्मर टॉपर्स, ये सब फैकल्टीज आपको मिलकर गाइड करते हैं. फाइनली व्हेन यू आर थ्रू इनटू द मेरिट लिस्ट, देन फिर आपको लगता है कि हाँ, इट वाज ऑल वर्थ इट. मिलते हैं आपसे क्लासेस में. ख्याल रखिए. जय हिंद. Can you say this is the same theme when it comes to executive power? No, there's a difference here. Just remember from this particular analogy, In case of union list, power is with central government, executive power. State government. When it comes to concurrent, state and center both have power to execute that law, but priority is of state. Now, what does it mean, priority? It simply means that when it comes to concurrent list, the executive power rests with the state until and unless there's a specific mention in that law that, okay, the implementation part of this law will be with center. So if there is no mention with the law that who is going to implement this law, then it is going to be responsibility of state executive to execute that law. I hope you are clearer now. So I feel that there can be a question on this. It's a star point. Okay. So there's a difference there. Now, in legislative aspect, we also discuss residuary power. It means law-making power on subjects which are not mentioned in any of these three lists. So we discussed that in case of residuary power lies with center, right? Means parliament. And I also gave example of USA and Australia, right? Now, in case of USA and Australia, we discussed that residuary power lies with state. But in case of India, residuary power lies with center. We have strong center. Canada has strong center. In case of Canada also, residuary power with respect to law-making power, it is with center, right? Now the point is, what about executive? Why we have not mentioned executive power with respect to residuary? My friends, the word residuary is used in law-making context only. Okay, that is why in executive we have not used it. Because residuary means this subject is not mentioned in any of these lists. So if something is not mentioned, first step is to make law, right? But here we are talking about law making, we are talking about implementation of law. So consider that center has made a law, because center has the this residuary power. Then it's quite obvious that for implementation of that law, there will be mention that which department, which level is going to be responsible for implementing that law. So there is no debate with respect to residuary power here, right? Clearly, if center is going to make, then definitely central government is going to have power. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now, as we start in executive power from Article 256, so first question is, what Article 256 says? क्या कहता है? So there are 2 points which are mentioned in Article 256. First point is that state has to comply with central laws. Means state, while exercising its executive power, cannot contravene central law. So it means opening article of executive aspect of center-state relation gives primacy to center, that state, you cannot do this. Okay. And the second clause, I told you there's 2 points here, na? Clause 1, subclause 2. Now, second point says that center can give necessary direction to the state for this purpose. It means a state should uphold the central law. Executive actions of the state cannot contravene central law. So that first subclause says the state has to take care of this. And subclause 2 says if state is not taking care of this, then center has this power, the center can give the necessary direction. Okay. Now, what if a state don't comply? What is going to happen thereafter? So Article 256 do not mention, you can say Article 256 is mute on punishment, or you can say action. We should use the word action. What is going to be the action thereafter? So the Article 256 is mute on that. So why mute? Because Article 356 clearly give action power to the center. What action power we are talking about? Coercive sanction. It means state government can be actually it can be said that since Article 256 said that you cannot contravene any central law, you have to uphold central law, then if you are doing this, then this can be a ground of imposing president rule, that the state is not working as per constitutional provision. But this power is mentioned in Article 356, constitutional machinery part, and clearly with respect to this direction word is mentioned in Article 356. Now we are using the word coercive sanction. What is coercive? It means that you don't want something, but still that thing is being done with you. That is coercive, right? Now there are 4 cases clearly mentioned where coercive sanction can be used by center, and they clearly tell us the executive relation between center and state. So I feel that there can be a good question from these statements in upcoming prelims. A good question can be made. Number 1, the construction and maintenance of means of communication by the state means such direction can be given, because Article 365 says that direction can be given by the center to the state, and if state does not comply, then this state can be declared that there will be president rule there, right? So 4 kind of directions. First, construction and maintenance of means of communication. Please remember, the word is construction and maintenance. It is not just maintenance, okay? If UPSC make a statement that as per Article 365, the necessary direction to the state can be given with respect to means of communication only for maintenance. So no, it's for construction and maintenance, because devil is in the detail. You never know at what deeper level UPSC play with you. Now, for the protection of railways within the state, please remember, it mentions protection of railways, because we have railways department at center, which is responsible for construction of railway line. Construction of railway line is not done by state. So that is why direction will say, we have built these you can say railways, and now you have to protect, right? So it means construction as a term for this direction is not there. This is just for protection. Clear? Now, third, facilities. And facilities for what? There are 3 points here. Facilities for what? Mother tongue means instruction in mother tongue, okay? Second, primary stage means instruction in mother tongue, primary stage, and for linguistic minority groups, okay? So it means if center is giving direction to the state government that you have to provide facilities to give instruction to the children who are studying at primary stage or eligible to study at primary stage in their mother tongue, and specifically talking about linguistic minority, because it is their right to get educated in their mother tongue. So in this case, if a state does not comply, then it will be considered as a base for applicability of Article 365, okay? So such is the sensitivity or importance of this particular provision, okay? Now fourth, for execution of specified schemes, please remember the word is execution, not formation. Execution of schemes for welfare of scheduled tribes. So it means if center gives a direction to the state government that we are giving this direction that you have to make this scheme, you have to make a scheme for scheduled tribes welfare, and if state doesn't comply, do you think that can be considered as a base for coercive sanction under Article 365? No. Because state government will say, why you are not making a scheme? You have a dedicated Ministry for Tribal Affairs. You can make the scheme. Why you're not? So here the word is execution. A state has to execute. Okay? Although state can also make, but that is state's will. But center can give direction in the case of execution of that scheme. I hope all these 4 points are clear to you. If a question is asked, it should not be wrong from your point. Now, cooperation between center and state. As I told you, with respect to executive relations, cooperation is necessary, right? So there's Article 261, it says full faith and credit. It means whether there's a law made by center, law made by state, because even if a law is made by center, execution is going to be done in one or other state, then don't you think that executive machinery of state has to respect the implementation of this law which is made by parliament, right? And this can only happen when there is full faith and credit throughout the whole territory of India, right? So this is clearly mentioned in our constitution. So it means public acts, judicial proceedings, center and every state, they should be received with full faith and credit. Okay, if they are not being, you can say, received in this manner, then it will be considered as an unconstitutional act by that particular department, and actions can be taken against the department, right? Because it is unconstitutional. When I say unconstitutional, it means you are standing opposite to what is mentioned in our constitution. Okay, Article 262, what it says, Parliament can provide for adjudication, means if there's a dispute with respect to distribution and control of waters or any interstate river or river valley, so in this case Parliament can actually provide for adjudication, means mechanism can be developed by Parliament. Okay, Article 260, please remember Article 262 is talking about dispute related to water, interstate water, river valley. But when we say Article 263, it is having provision with respect to any kind of dispute. What it says, President can establish an interstate council to investigate and discuss subject of common interest between center and state. So it means in interstate council, there can be a possibility that two states are having opposing views on a particular point. Before it becomes a dispute, open dispute, it can be resolved with proper talk and proper, you can say, coordination, and arriving at a particular decision and then executing that decision. So you need a delegated body for that, and that body is interstate council. Okay, so such a council was established in 1990. That's a factual information. Now, public services, as I told you, executive, temporary, permanent, and you have to be part of permanent. So these departments are being run by officers and other staff, right? So where we have three kind of services which we call public services: state services, central services, all India services. When I say state services, it means people in the service are recruited, trained and deputed by state government only. For example, a particular state government organizes this state PCS exam, provincial civil service exam. So people, by passing this exam, they also get the position of deputy collector, SDM and DSP, right? But definitely when it comes to promotion and the seniority, they are considered, you can say, at the secondary position in comparison to central service and all India service. Okay, what is common in central service and all India service? The people for them are recruited, trained by center. Okay, I have not used the word deputed or working under, because in state service they have to work under that specific state government, right? But in case of all India service and central service, what is the difference? For example, income tax department. So some of you get elected, so some of you actually, when you were filling your choice in detailed application form, so as per your choice you got IRS, IT, means Indian Revenue Service, income tax. So you have opted for central service now. Your recruitment is done by UPSC, you are going to be trained by the center, right? And you are going to work in the central department, income tax department, right? But there are other all India service. We have three all India service, only three all India service are there in India: IAS, IPS and Indian Forest Service. Please remember, Indian Foreign Service is central service. Okay, Indian Forest Service is all India service. So what is the difference? Difference is, although you will be recruited and trained by the center, because all of the people, they get selected through this UPSC Civil Service exam. For IFOS, you have a separate means and interview. Then these people are trained in Missouri, then they go to their respective academies. Now the point is, but in all India service, now they will be allocated cadre, state cadre, right? So although you are recruited and trained by center, but you will be working in a state and you will be working in close coordination with that state government. You're not part of any central government department. Okay, so this is the difference. Now there is debate also around this concept of all India service, because some people say that this all India service is against the concept of federalism. So why this debate? They say that federalism as a concept represents division of power, autonomy of state. But what we have seen in past, that since Department of Personnel and Training at central union level, it is the actual cadre controlling authority of all India service. So it means the patronage of these all India service civil servants lie with center, not with state. And we have seen in past, for example, in case of West Bengal, there was this issue. There was a tussle going on between Mamata Banerjee and union government on the transfer of certain IAS officers. Center was saying, no, we need this IAS officer. And West Bengal government was saying, no, we are not going to allow him to go. We are not going to issue NOC. So this tussle was going on. And at that point of time, the matter was raised, this is against federalism, right? So now this is just basic fact. In 1947, the Indian Civil Service, ICS, was named IAS, earlier IP, Indian Police, now named IPS. In 1966, a dedicated service for forest service. Article 312, an important article. By use of this article, Parliament can create a new All India service also. But how it can be actually created by Parliament? We need a resolution passed by Rajya Sabha for that, because we are using the word All India service, and ultimately the people in All India service have to go to state cadre, right? So important service which should be made, there has been a recommendation along this point for quite long, is All India Judicial Service. Means there should be a IJS also to actually you can say fill the vacancies in judicial services in a swift manner, but somehow it could not be materialized as of now. I told you All India service violates the principle of federalism. This is one point, but we should also know what are the positive points. So there are 3 positive points. Number 1, high standard of administration, because all of you, those who are getting actually part of this, getting into the civil service, esteemed civil service, they are going to be trained among the top, you can say, with the top trainers and top services. So high standard can be maintained along all states, right? No matter which state cadre you go, but you will maintain the high standard for which you are trained. Second, uniformity. So one is high standard, second is uniformity. Because if same kind of training, same kind of environment has been created, then definitely you know what is the objective you need to achieve, right? So uniformity. Third is cooperation and coordination, right? Because we need cooperation and coordination in different states in order to achieve our common goals. So if all these people are trained through a common mechanism, then having this coordination, cooperation and joint action would become easier. So please remember these 3 points whenever you have to talk about the positives of this. Okay, now just attempt this question. As when you open this Lakshmikant, you'll find after this public service, you will also find Public Service Commission. Although in your Lakshmikant there's a dedicated portion there, right? Constitutional bodies, there we are going to discuss this, but since it is mentioned here, you should be aware. Appointment, the chairman and members of the State Public Service Commission is done by. Mentioned in your Lakshmikant, you must have read it. Answer. It is talking about SPSC. So please remember that appointment of chairman and member of SPSC is done by governor, okay, but they are removed by president. This is the twist, and you should know that. Removed only by president, okay. Statement kind of questions are also asked in this manner. Chairman and member of Joint Public Service Commission are appointed by. So earlier we were talking about SPSC, state PSC, governor appoints, removed by president. In case of JPSC, both the work, appointment and removal, this lies with president only. Appointed by president. I think it is clear now. Now, integrated judicial service. What does it mean? It simply means that no dual system of administration is there. It means whether it is High Court or Supreme Court, they have to uphold the common laws of India, right? Enforces both central laws as well as state laws. Means High Court cannot say, I am High Court of that state, so I have nothing to do with central law. I'm going to focus only on state law. No, this cannot happen because we have integrated judicial system. Even if you're a High Court, you have to uphold or enforce central as well as state laws. Okay. Parliament can establish a common High Court for two or more than two states, right? So it means Parliament has this power. This is right. Parliament can take this decision. What you should remember, that no state government, state legislature has power to establish their own High Court. Okay. This power is only with Parliament. And this is the structure of Indian judiciary. You have Supreme Court, Apex Court, then High Court. In metropolitan areas, you have metropolitan courts, civil and criminal. In districts, you have district session court. Civil means matter which are related to civil, for example, tax matter, land dispute. Criminal matters dealing with Indian Penal Code, which are considered as offence. These are dealt with criminal court. Criminal court are also known as session court, and judges are considered as session judge, and district court as district judge. Okay. Although at the level of district, this hierarchy is headed by one post, that is district judge, DJ. Then we have sub courts, judicial magistrate court first in class, then principal junior civil judge court, judicial magistrate court second class. Means these judges, judicial officers are appointed through this PCSJ exam, Provincial Civil Service Judicial. Then you have municipal court, means in suburbs, sub areas, there are also, these courts. When we talk about judiciary, we are going to talk about Gram Nyayalayas, Lok Adalat. Everything will be set in your mind, don't worry. Now, attempt this question. The judges of a state high court are appointed by, attempt, come on. President in consultation with Council of Minister and State Governor. Ek to hota galat, ek sarasar. This is sarasar wrong. President in consultation with Chief Justice of India and State Governor. This is correct. Although you should know, the recommendation for name, that who is going to be the judge of a high court, is done by collegium. We are going to discuss collegium when we enter into judiciary chapter. But the word here is appointment, appointed. Appointment is done by President in consultation with Chief Justice of India and State Governor. Okay. I hope it is clear now. Now, how executive relations hamper during emergency. So we have three provisions with respect to emergency. National emergency, Article 352. State emergency or President rule, Article 356. Then financial emergency, Article 360. Right? Now, national emergency. In this case, center can actually direct the state on any matter. The reason is, it may be possible that integrity, unity of India is under threat. So during national emergency, executive power of state can actually be considered that they shift towards center. Direction will be given by center and state has to uphold those directions, right? But you should also know that government is not necessarily suspended when national emergency is in place, okay? They have to adhere to the directions done by, you can say, issued by center. Then we have Article 56, President sole authority in the state. Now President rule is there, it means now President is actually ruling the state. But President is ruling the state through his representative, her representative, and that is Governor. Okay. Then we have Financial Emergency, Article 60. In this case, center means here President can ask a state to reduce salaries and other expenditures since financial emergency is in place. It means austerity measures can be recommended, and at this point, state government has to uphold that. Okay. So it means a state government is not removed here in case of financial emergency. Now some other provisions. For example, Article 55 imposes duties on the center. Two duties. Number one, that you have to protect state from external aggression and internal disturbance. Second, you have to ensure that state is being run through constitution, means provisions of constitution are protected. Now, don't you think actually these are the actual grounds, this is the ground on which Article 56 is imposed. Article 56 is used and President rule is imposed, that, oh, the state is not being run as per provisions of constitution, right? So now, governor of a state is appointed by president. So this is executive power of center, because in this case, president is getting a list, and in this list there's one name. Okay, earlier there's a list, and then from this list, Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister selects, okay, this name. For example, Rohit. Mr. Rohit is going to be the governor of Tamil Nadu. Now, president will actually, ask, this is the name, I'm verifying it. Now, this person is going to be appointed as governor. My friends, there's no election for the post of governor in India. Governor of a state works on pleasure of president. It may be possible that you are governor of, say, Uttar Pradesh, and the next day you receive a fax that you have to wrap up your things and move out from Raj Bhavan from actually the next day, because now you're not the governor of UP, and now we have appointed a new governor. So you cannot file a case in Supreme Court or High Court or anywhere that how this can happen to me without reason I'm being fired. Aisa nahi hoga, because you work on the pleasure of president. Okay, and president works on the aid and advice of Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister in this case. Clear about? Now, there's a subtopic within this executive administrative provisions in your Lakshmikant, extra constitutional bodies. So what does it mean? It means this is constitution, and this constitution has certain provisions which talks about center-state relations in executive matter. There can be other ways also, but it is beyond constitution, means it is not mentioned in constitution, it is separate. So this is called extra constitutional. So extra constitutional and unconstitutional are different. Unconstitutional means a particular provision, a particular action is against constitution, but this is not against. It is just that, okay, some themes, some ideas you have done here, but we want some additional means, additional power structure, additional, say, some mechanism. So that is why we are making this. So this is extra, okay, extra constitutional. So who presides over the Chief Minister's Conference? So governor of the state, Prime Minister, okay. So these, now please remember, it is not like you have to cram every article which is mentioned in this part 11 and part 12. What you need to do, you need to just build your understanding as we have done through this discussion. And when you are going to revise important provisions which are highlighted in your MCQs, themselves they will settle in your mind. Okay, so you need not to worry, just understand the core, the essence of this. I hope this is clear in your mind now. So now you can get this PDF in Shashank Tyagi 4U group. I upload this PDFs on weekly basis in one go. If you have any doubt, you can ask me on shashank.powerbeing, that's my Insta handle. And some additional information with respect to classes are also available on Insta and Twitter. This Shashank Tyagi 4U. So if you like this video, you got some value, you can show that love in comments. See you in the next video.
StudyIQ IAS. अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल.